Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Resilient in the Lockdown. I appreciate the fact that you guys have logged in, taken time out to spend an hour with me on Friday afternoon. Let me just take you guys through what we will be discussing today. We are all in this situation. In fact, a significant part of the world is in this situation where we are restricted to our homes, the majority of us, and some of us have the ability to work remotely, others don't. We are also facing the threat of a pandemic, which has taken a lot of very valuable lives. And in this situation, we are trying to figure out how this uncertain future, what does this uncertain future have in store for us? We are trying to make do. And some of us are trying to figure out what will life look like when this is over. Some of us are wondering whether it will ever be over. And that makes many of us very anxious. And that anxiety reduces our ability to do things that we otherwise do normally anyway. So I want to talk to you guys today about resilience. And this applies both to your professional lives and to your personal lives. हम जो काम अपने दफ्तर में करते हैं उसमें अच्छी क्वालिटी का काम करने के लिए कुछ थॉट्स, इमोशंस, कुछ इस किस्म के थिंकिंग प्रोसेसेस अप्लाई होते हैं जो कि जिनका ताल्लुक डायरेक्टली हमारी पर्सनैलिटी के साथ है और हमारी पर्सनल लाइफ्स में भी उसी किस्म की चीज़ें अप्लाई होती हैं. चैलेंज ये है कि हम में से बेशतर लोगों को पर्सनैलिटी के कॉन्सेप्ट के बारे में शायद उतनी क्लैरिटी ना हो, या अगर हो तो उसकी रेजिलियंस के साथ, या ख़ास तौर पे इस वक्त हम जिस चीज़ से गुजर रहे हैं उसके साथ क्या ताल्लुक़ है, शायद उसकी क्लैरिटी ना हो. तो हमने सोचा, मेरी टीम ने और हमने सोचा कि क्यों ना हम पर्सनैलिटी के बारे में बात करें और इससे शायद लोगों की पर्सनल लाइफ में भी कुछ हेल्प हो जाएगी और प्रोफेशनली भी कुछ हेल्प हो जाएगी. और फाइनली वी फील दैट दिस विल बी ऑफ बेनिफिट टू द कम्युनिटी एज वेल इन टर्म्स ऑफ पॉजिटिव outcomes that can come out of this otherwise very dark sort of scenario. So, Resilient in the Lockdown is about the power of your personality, which you have in store. It's inside you. You have it available. We will just be talking about how you can use it to benefit yourself, to benefit your family, to benefit your organization, to benefit the community around you, and potentially to benefit the country. I notice many people are saying salam, walaikum salam to all of you. Now, I want to start with a quick challenge. मैं आपसे अभी थोड़ी देर के बाद जब गुफ्तगू कंटिन्यू करूंगा तो मैं चाहता हूं कि मैं आपको कुछ बताऊंगा, आपने उस चीज के बारे में नहीं सोचना. I don't want you to think about a pink elephant. ओके तो मैं आपसे जब कहूंगा तो आपने उसके बाद फिर पिंक एलिफेंट के बारे में नहीं सोचना. लिसन वेरी केयरफुली. नो पिंक एलिफेंट्स. ओके, डोंट थिंक अबाउट पिंक एलिफेंट्स. नाउ I'm going to show you something as we are going through this. Okay, so pink elephant. I don't want you to think about pink elephants. Let's try this. हम जैसे डिस्कशन कर रहे थे रेजिलियंस के बारे में और मैं चेक करना चाहता हूं कि आपकी रेजिलियंस कितनी ज़्यादा है. मैंने आपके सामने कुछ रखा है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप उस इमेज के बारे में जो मैंने आपके सामने रखा है, इसमें एक पिंक एलिफेंट आपको नजर आ रहा है. अलबत्ता आपने पिंक एलिफेंट के बारे में नहीं सोचना. ज़रा अपने आप से पूछिए, व्हाट्स गोइंग थ्रू योर माइंड एज यू आर ट्राइंग टू नॉट थिंक अबाउट अ पिंक एलिफेंट. व्हाट्स रियली हैपनिंग? I have this palpable sort of a feeling that you're struggling. And as you're struggling, मैं चाहता हूं कि आप साथ साथ कोई इस किस्म की स्ट्रैटेजी सोचिए जिसके जरिए आप पिंक एलिफेंट के बारे में नहीं सोचेंगे, इसके बावजूद कि पिंक एलिफेंट इस इमेज में आपको इतना बड़ा वाज़े नजर आ रहा है. What are some of the things you could do? Let's brainstorm this. So you could, for instance, potentially think about the other aspects that are the other aspects of this image, और इस इमेज में क्या क्या कुछ नजर आ रहा है. You could potentially try to think about how thinking about a pink elephant could harm you or help you. And I'm sure you can think of other strategies as well. But I want to give you a sense of what resilience is. It is our ability to conquer something that is in front of us, it's staring us in the face. We know it's there. We are not hiding our heads in the sand, but we will conquer the fear or the sense of rejection that might put to us. I want you to learn to conquer the pink elephant. And there is a pink elephant in everyone's lives. अगर मैं आपसे भी अगर हम बिलमुशाफा गुफ्तगू हो रही होती, if you were in front of me and I would have this conversation with you in person, I would, for instance, I could ask you, how many among you have been through, the death of a loved one? And I would see many hands go up. I would ask you, how many of you have been through the loss of a personal relationship, as in a divorce? And many hands would go up. I would ask you, how many of you have, for instance, lost, a very, very dependable sort of source of income? And many hands would go up. In the end, अगर मैं इस तरह के सवाल पूछता रहा, in the end, you would see that everyone around you would have their hands up. Everyone is going through some form of adversity. But resilience is being able to rise above that adversity, knowing that it's there, but still rising above it to face it and to make the best of that situation. And you will not be alone. People in the past have done this very well. People today, there are some among us who do this very well. And I want us to learn how to do this better as well. So on from the pink elephant, I want to show you guys, I want to share some examples with you of people who have successfully become more resilient. So you see 4 images on the screen. मैं बस आपको ये एक slide दिखाऊंगा, उसके बाद I'll turn the slides off. But for now, you see 4 images on the screen. You see at the top left is the Bimaristan. So Bimaristan is the old name for what we now call hospital or hospital. And this was established in the 706. This was actually the outcome of a plague that spread in Muslim lands during the reign of Walid bin Abdul Malik. And during the plague, people who were quarantined, they were trying to stay away from each other. They began to discover that this thing hurts you a lot more than this thing hurts you in a lot more ways than just making you sick. क्योंकि लोग एक दूसरे के साथ कांटेक्ट नहीं रख सक रहे थे, इसकी वजह से बहुत सारी परेशानी हो रही थी. जिनके घर में बीमार लोग थे, उनका कोई हल नहीं निकल रहा था. So eventually they decided that they needed to have some sort of a place where people could be quarantined and then cared for. And that's how Bimaristan, or the land of the sick people, or the place of the sick people, that's how it came into being. The Bimaristan, or the hospital, was established as the first such place, and it happened, the thought process that went into it happened during a plague. दूसरा image आपको नजर आ रहा है मुस्तनसरिया कॉलेज का. This was the first medical college established, and this medical college was actually established as the result of a plague. The sort of a pandemic that we're seeing here. उस इलाके में एक epidemic हुई, उन्होंने कहा इसका कोई हल होना चाहिए. Epidemic के दौरान वो उसका हल सोचते रहे, उस पर थोड़ी थोड़ी मेहनत करते रहे. जब वो epidemic का effect कुछ कम हुआ, उन्होंने वो college establish किया, और उसके बाद से मुस्तकबिल में बहुत सारे इस किस्म की problems address हो गई. What you see at the bottom left is, it's pronounced as eau de Hongre, or इसको अब कहा जाता है eau de cologne. ये perfume type की जो चीज़ हम लगाते हैं. This was actually first used in the time of a bubonic plague in Europe, जिसमें लोगों को ये कहा गया था कि जहाँ बदबू होती है वहाँ पे ये प्लेग ज़्यादा फैलती है. तो उसके हल के तौर पे कुछ लोगों ने इस किस्म की एक oh, the video has stopped. Really? I can see some people saying the video has stopped. Not sure why. Perhaps what you mean by that is that you're not able to see me. I was actually showing you a slide. I was actually showing you a slide on purpose. Anyway, मैं slide में आपको 4 ऐसी examples दिखाना चाह रहा था, जिसमें एक बीमारिस्तान है, दूसरा मुस्तनसिरिया कॉलेज है, तीसरा eau de cologne, जो परफ्यूम जो हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, जो कि प्लेग में इन्वेंट हुआ, और फाइनली मैंने जो आपको चौथी एग्जाम्पल दिखानी थी, that was William Shakespeare. So Shakespeare is known to us because he was a very, very good playwright. Did you know that the majority of his tragedies, some of the best plays that he wrote, some of the best work that he wrote it during a plague, during an epidemic, when his when his city was in a lockdown or shutdown. That's when he produced his best work. And that is what brings up for us this interesting question: why is it that in situations of adversity like this, there are some people who continue to be very, very effective and continue to help and serve and continue to do their work very, very well, whereas there are others who don't? And how can we, for instance, fall in the category of the ones who are good at being effective? How could we potentially do that? And there is an evolution in psychology. Psychology में पहले जो ट्रेडिशनल तरीका था साइकोलॉजी के बारे में सोचने का, उसे हम फ्रॉइडियन साइकोलॉजी कहते हैं, जिसे साइको एनालिसिस की मूवमेंट कहते हैं. और इसमें बेसिकली ये स्टडी किया जाता था, व्हाट इज़ रॉन्ग विद पीपल, इफ समबडी इज साइकोलॉजिकली सिक, व्हाट इज़ द प्रॉब्लम विद देम. And that is where the majority of the effort was spent. In the late 1980s, a new movement started among psychologists who said, hold on, we just keep studying what is wrong with people, but we also need to study what is right with some people. Why is it that some people are very positive and very happy and very successful and in controlling their emotions? And why is it that why is it that some people are not sick? So that is called the positive psychology movement. तो आपको लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे इमेज नजर आ रहा है सिगमंड फ्रॉइड का, दैट्स द फ्रॉइडियन व्यू दैट केम फ्रॉम हिम. और आपको राइट हैंड साइड पे इमेज नजर आ रहा है मार्टिन सेलिगमैन का, जिन्होंने पॉजिटिव साइकोलॉजी की मूवमेंट शुरू की. एंड इट इज दिस सेकंड एस्पेक्ट और सेकंड मूवमेंट दैट आई ascribe to, and I think that's going to be helpful for us to figure out what is resilience and how can it help us. So an interesting study was run by Martin Seligman where he asked people for a period of 6 months. इन्होंने लोगों को 2 ग्रुप्स में तकसीम कर दिया. एक ग्रुप से कहा, what are 3 things that are going well for you today? What are 3 things you should be, let's say, thankful for, grateful for? What are 3 things like that? And those people came up with a list. And then the second group was, of course, the control group. उनको इस तरह की कोई चीज़ नहीं की गई और कोई और random किस्म के questions दिए गए. And they observed the effect that this had on those people over the next 6 months. And they discovered, जिस ग्रुप से वो कहते थे कि रोज़ उन्होंने अपनी 3 नेमतों का जिक्र करना है, या 3 blessings or 3 good things that happened to them, that group was happier, not as depressed. In fact, no depression. If some of them who might have had depression, the depression went down. They were less anxious. They were more effective. And they began to discover that resilience actually has to do with some things that we can control. Meaning, it's not that you are born resilient or not born resilient. It is that resilience can be controlled. You can actually choose to become more resilient. So let's talk about what resilience is. Resilience में 4 चीजें शामिल हैं. Number 1, making the best of a difficult situation, because frankly, everyone has difficult situations. So resilient people are those who make the best of that situation. जिस तरह की भी हालात हों, उन हालात में जिस हद तक बेहतरीन काम हो सकता है, they try to do that. The second one is they cope with stress. Everyone has stress, but these people tend to be better at coping with stress. They manage stress. They tell themselves that this stress is manageable and I will rise above it. Number 3, they become they sort of rise to the occasion. उस वक्त उन हालात में, उन परेशान कुन हालात में जो काम करने की ज़रूरत होती है, जो काम करना अहम होता है, they rise to the occasion and they do what is necessary. And fourthly, growing in their ability through adversity. मुश्किल हालात की वजह से उनकी abilities improve होती हैं. अच्छा, ये जो मैंने आपको डेफिनेशन दी है रेजिलियंस की, 4 चीज़ें. नंबर 1, मेकिंग द बेस्ट ऑफ अ डिफिकल्ट सिचुएशन. नंबर 2, कोपिंग विद स्ट्रेस. नंबर 3, राइजिंग टू द ओकेजन, डूइंग व्हाट इज नेसेसरी एट दैट टाइम. नंबर 4, ग्रोइंग इन एबिलिटी थ्रू डिफिकल्ट टाइम्स और थ्रू एडवर्सिटी. ये जो मैंने आपको डेफिनेशन दी है, ये अप्लाई की गई यूएस आर्म फोर्सेस के हवाले से. एक इंस्टीट्यूट बनाया गया था यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पेंसिल्वेनिया में, यूपेन. It is called the Positive Psychology Center. आपको मौका मिलेगा अभी गूगल कीजिएगा. You can learn more about how they use some of these techniques. And they wanted to find out जो लोग आर्मी के काम के लिए भेजे गए हैं दुनिया के मुख्तलिफ इलाक़ों में, और उन्होंने अपने सामने अपने कॉलीग्स को मरते हुए देखा और बहुत मुश्किल हालात में कभी जीते कभी हारे, उन लोगों के साथ ये कैसे मालूम किया जा सकता है उनमें से सबसे ज़्यादा रिजिलियंट कौन है, उनकी रिजिलियंस उन्हें कैसे हेल्प करती है. एंड दे बिगेन टू डिस्कवर that these four things apply to the most resilient people. ये वो लोग हैं जो चाहे हालात अच्छे हों या बुरे हों, they keep chugging on, they produce some of the best work, they are able to solve problems more effectively, they are able to maintain their own composure and their own psychological strength, and they tend to do better at both their personal lives and their professional lives. So resilience is something that will help us, as we've established. But how do you find out how resilient you might be? And that requires that we learn a little bit about our own personality. अच्छा, इससे पहले कि मैं आपको personality के बारे में कुछ और बातें बताऊं, let me spend a little bit of time on personality theory. What is personality, and how do we know that what we say about personality is even valid? So personalities have been studied. Personality, as you know, is what makes a person unique. उसके लिए कुछ adjectives describe किए जाते हैं कि फलां शख्स बहुत resilient है मिसाल के तौर पे, या फलां शख्स आमतौर पे anxious हो जाता है मिसाल के तौर पे, या फिर हम कह सकते हैं कि फलां शख्स बहुत ज़्यादा conscientious या rule bound होता है. इस तरह के adjectives इस्तेमाल किए जाते हैं personality को describe करने के लिए. ये रिसर्च एक्चुअली शुरू हुई थी 1884 में. फ्रांसिस गाल्टन ने शुरू की थी मालूम करने के लिए कि लोगों में फ़र्क क्यों होता है. और 1930s 1940s में इन एडजेक्टिव्स की लिस्ट बनाई गई, उन्हें लोगों से कंपेयर किया गया और उन्हें कैटेगराइज करने की कोशिश की गई. फिर पता चला 40s के अंदर, दूसरी जंग अजीम के दौरान, सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के दौरान के देयर इज़ एक्चुअली अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन सम एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ पर्सनैलिटी एंड अदर एस्पेक्ट्स. कुछ एस्पेक्ट्स निस्बतन फिक्स्ड होती हैं, कुछ एस्पेक्ट्स अलबत्ता चेंज की जा सकती हैं. इनको आजकल हम कहते हैं बिहेवियर्स एंड ट्रेट्स. सो बिहेवियर्स हैबिट्स होती हैं, इनको तब्दील किया जा सकता है. ट्रेट्स निस्बतन फिक्स्ड होती हैं, आमतौर पे ये तब्दील नहीं होती, कुछ एक्स्ट्रॉर्डिनरी किस्म की सर्कमस्टेंसेस में हो भी जाती हैं. तो इनको इस तरीके से स्प्लिट किया गया. 1961 में सबसे पहले एक 5 फैक्टर मॉडल बनाया गया, जो मैं भी आपको दिखाऊंगा. और 1961 के बाद इसके ऊपर मुतअद्दिद मरतबा रिसर्च हुई, एंड पीपल डिस्कवर्ड दिस इज the most scientifically valid model of personality. It's called the Big Five model. It's also called the Ocean model. And this model of personality is what we will use to understand. And there are multiple ways of understanding personality, but I will be using this model for us to help us understand what our personality may be like. Now, some interesting things I wanted to tell you about this model of personality. आपने सुना होगा कि जब 2016 का US election हुआ था, उसमें रशियंस की इन्वॉल्वमेंट थी, और and somehow they got people to vote for a particular party versus another. So this was a big scandal. And in that scandal, behind that scandal was a British company called Cambridge Analytica. And this company was trying to figure out people's personalities through their Facebook profiles. And the model they were using for that, and they were very successful at doing it, was this same Big Five Ocean model that we will use to understand our personalities. Personality, the Big Five personality model. Let's talk about this. What does this mean? मैं आपको थोड़ी देर के लिए अपनी स्क्रीन दिखाऊंगा, so you will see a bunch of slides. Here is the Big Five personality model. So there are 5 factors to personality. Ocean stands for OCEAN. O stands for openness to new experience. C stands for conscientiousness. E stands for extraversion. A stands for agreeableness. N stands for emotionality. ये अल्फाज अगर आपके लिए नए हैं तो फिक्र ना कीजिए. I will go into detail and I will share examples of each one. And my objective is, over the course of this discussion, we begin to discover a little bit about our personality, and then towards the end of this discussion, हम सब अपने लिए we figure out strategies to be able to become more resilient, regardless of where our personality is. But I need to take you guys through a quick activity. Here's what I want you to do. अपने सामने कागज़ निकाल लीजिए, a piece of paper, साथ में पेन या पेंसिल रख लीजिए. मैं आपको अपनी स्क्रीन के ऊपर इस वक्त दिखा रहा हूँ एक स्केल सा बना हुआ है. सो दरम्यान में 0 है, 0 to 100 ऊपर की तरफ, 0 to 100 नीचे की तरफ, देन टू द राइट एंड टू द लेफ्ट, 0 to 100. तो 4 स्केल्स बने हुए हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ दिस क्रॉस. और नीचे एक और स्केल बना हुआ है 0 to 100 हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन के ऊपर. जस्ट गो अहेड एंड ड्रॉ दिस, क्योंकि अभी थोड़ी देर में आप इसी स्केल के ऊपर अपनी पर्सनैलिटी को इवेल्युएट करेंगे. So I want you to just take 5 seconds, 10 seconds, pull out a piece of paper and just draw this. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do this. Okay, so I hope by now you've drawn this. ये scale जो बना हुआ है, 0 center में है, 0 to 100 ऊपर की तरफ, 0 to 100 नीचे की तरफ, 0 to 100 right, 0 to 100 left. Once you've done this, you will add to this some new words. So, for example, आपको ऊपर की तरफ नजर आ रहा है agreeableness. Right hand side पे आपको नजर आ रहा है conscientiousness. At the bottom you see openness, and at the left is extraversion. Just go ahead and write the stuff down. At the bottom though, the fifth scale, 0 to 100, वहाँ पे हम लिखेंगे emotionality. So I also have my eyes on the comments and questions. So Kamal Subhani says, Big Five versus MBTI, which is more accurate, or pros and cons of each? Don't have time to go into detail on this, but very quickly, MBTI is based on a different model, which is called Carl Jung's model, Carl Jung. And if you want, you can do some more research on it on your own. MBTI is pretty good at categorizing people, but it is not scientifically valid, not as scientifically valid as the Big Five personality model. Very, very quick, brief sort of an answer. There's a lot more detail to this, Kamal, but eventually if we get a chance to talk about it, at another time, then we'll do this. Is waqt please apne samne scales bana lijiye, because I want to now talk to you about these personality traits in more detail. I want to talk to you about yourselves so that we can figure out how or where we stand as far as these things are concerned. So first of all, हमने बात की इन 5 स्किल्स के बारे में. सबसे पहले हमने अग्रीबलनेस के बारे में बात की, फिर कॉन्शियंशियसनेस थी, फिर ओपननेस थी, फिर एक्सट्रोवर्जन थी, इमोशनैलिटी थी. These are 5 factors. There's a lot more detail to this. I'm not going into that kind of detail. I just want us to understand the big hunk portions of our personality. Let's start with the first one. Let's start with openness. Openness. ये जो openness वाला scale है, this demonstrates openness or openness to new experience. हम में से कुछ लोग बहुत ज़्यादा diversity पसंद करते हैं. हमें बहुत ज़्यादा नित नई चीज़ें पसंद होती हैं. हम कलर्स में भी एक cacophony ज़्यादा पसंद करते हैं. लेकिन हम में से कुछ लोग निस्बतन रिजर्व्ड, थोड़ा सा पैसिव किस्म की ज़िंदगी पसंद करते हैं. हम निस्बतन कंजर्वेटिव होते हैं अपनी प्रेफरेंसेस में. हम चाहते हैं कि चेंज अगर आए तो बहुत जल्दी ना आए. So between these two, high openness का मतलब है you like a lot of change, a lot of diversity, a lot of new things all the time. Low openness का मतलब है कि you don't like that many different things all the time. Okay? मैं भी आपको adjectives की एक लिस्ट दिखाने लगा हूँ. High और low का मतलब अच्छा या बुरा नहीं है. High और low का मतलब सिर्फ ये है कि you tend to prefer certain things. So I'm going to show you now on my screen 2 movie characters. So on the left-hand side, you see MacGyver. Some of you might remember MacGyver from back in the day. MacGyver is, known for coming up with, very resourceful, coming up with solutions when no other options were available. So MacGyver is high openness. And on the right-hand side, you see Kevin Costner in, let's say, Dances with the Wolves. And this is low openness. Sort of a person. So high openness, low openness. High openness के नीचे आपको adjectives की list नजर आ रही है. Low openness के नीचे आपको adjectives की list नजर आ रही है. Here's what I want you to do. आप अपने आप को एक नंबर दे दीजिए जो आप मुझसे शेयर नहीं करेंगे, ये सिर्फ आपके लिए है. आप अपने आप को एक नंबर दे दीजिए. If low openness was, let's say, 0 and high openness was 100, where 0 is neither good or bad and 100 is neither good or bad, I just want us to be able to grade ourselves on a scale. Give yourself a number. Are you a 20, a 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever. अपने आप को एक नंबर दे दीजिए openness के हवाले से. So you are just grading yourself on openness. Write down the number. Go ahead. I'm going to give you maybe like 3 seconds to do that before I move on. That was openness. That is just one aspect of your personality. But as I mentioned, there are 5. हमने अभी तक सिर्फ openness के बारे में बात की है. Let's talk about the second aspect, which is conscientiousness. So conscientiousness means, it's a very heavy sounding word, conscientiousness. Basically it means how rule bound are you. अगर आप किसी सिचुएशन में जाते हैं तो आप ये कहते हैं अच्छा मुझे बताओ फलां काम करने का प्रोसीजर क्या है, या ये काम, मिसाल के तौर पे अगर मैं घर में खाना बना रहा हूँ तो खाना बनाने से पहले मैं पूछता हूँ कि मुझे लिखी हुई रेसिपी चाहिए या किसी से दी हुई रेसिपी चाहिए. अगर ऐसा है दैट्स हाई कॉन्शियसनेस. और अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि आई डोंट लाइक टू बी बाउंड बाय टू मेनी रूल्स एंड पॉलिसीज एंड रेगुलेशंस एंड रेसिपीज, I just like to do things on my own. I have my own way of doing things. That's low conscientiousness. So there's high conscientiousness and low conscientiousness. Between these two, I want you to sort of grade yourself. And in order for you to do that, I'm going to give you again, two movie characters. So this is from Star Trek. If some of you are familiar with Star Trek, then you would know there's Captain Kirk on the right, and then there's Spock on the left. And Spock is the high conscientiousness, very rule-bound, persistent, self-disciplined, thorough, consistent, predictable, reliable, careful planner, hardworking. Whereas Captain Kirk, low conscientiousness, is rebellious, goes his own way, careless, negligent, unreliable. So between these two, where do you place yourself? Low conscientiousness or high conscientiousness? Low conscientiousness is 0 and high conscientiousness is 100. Give yourself a number and I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, so I hope you've had a chance to do that. हमने अपने आप को 2 personality traits के ऊपर अभी तक grade किया है. We did openness, so we gave ourselves a number on that, and then we did conscientiousness. So that was the second one. Let's move on to the third aspect of personality, which is extraversion. Extraversion, low versus high. Low का मतलब I get my energy when I'm by myself. I prefer to be by myself and I feel very energized. High extraversion means I get energy when I'm with other people. I enjoy being around other people. And I get very excited when I'm like that. So low and high. Low को आमतौर पे introversion भी कहते हैं, introvert होना. और high का मतलब extrovert होना. मैं आपको इसकी भी 2 मिसालें दे देता हूँ. So you see 2 examples over here. High is something like Jim Carrey, and low is something like Keanu Reeves. High means always bubbly, and low means tend to be more reserved, prefer to be by myself. So high के अंदर आएगा sociable and merry, energetic, talkative, fun-loving nature, friendly, assertive, और low के अंदर आएगा reserved, serious, quiet, like to listen more, and little or no small talk. तो आपने अब अपने आप को इसके दरम्यान में स्कोर करना है, where high would mean that you're an extrovert, और low का मतलब होगा you're an introvert. Again, between 0 and 100, give yourself a number. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, so Kamal, you're asking, what if you swing between both sides depending on the situation? That probably means you have a personality, and those personality traits of course have some sort of an influence on you, and you have some learned behavior where you've discovered. Misal deta hu main aapko ke let's say I have somebody in my team who is in a sales job, and this person is an introvert, and this person has to meet people all the time. Now in order to earn their paycheck, it's their job to meet people all the time. They have learned the extrovert behavior and they're able to manage it, but deep inside they are an introvert. That's just an example. And what I want you to look for is, what is your preference? That's why the question I'm asking you is, what is your preference? What do you prefer? What do you like? Where do you feel most comfortable? Score yourself based on that. So we've done so far three different traits. I want to move to the 4th trait, and this 4th trait, iska naam hai agreeableness. So being agreeable, how agreeable are you? Agreeableness का मतलब ये है कि हम दूसरों के बारे में कितने ज़्यादा concerned होते हैं. Again, there's no good or bad here. High agreeableness is when people are more trusting, they tend to be more modest, they tend to be patient, they tend to be tactful and considerate, they tend to be polite and amiable, loyal, altruistic and helpful, sensitive. And you might be thinking, these are all nice words. And I would like to be like this. However, there are some nice words on the other side as well. Low agreeableness means tough, straightforward, rational, objective, but could also be self-centered, tend to have a low EQ, might seem a little bit hostile and distrusting. तो आपने अपने आप को इन दोनों के दरम्यान में स्कोर करना है, not based on what you want to be, but based on where you find yourself most comfortable. High agreeableness or low agreeableness. So score yourself based on that. This is obviously your self-perception. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Low agreeableness versus high agreeableness. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so that was the fourth trait. And now we're going to get to the last one, which is the fifth trait. And this one will require your attention because this is not only most relevant to resilience, it is also, it's rather complex. There's more than one layer to this. ये जो पांचवी वाली है, इसको हम कहते हैं emotionality. इसका एक और नाम है neuroticism. So, emotionality, low versus high. Low emotionality का मतलब है you tend to be calm. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा pressure आ जाए उस वक्त भी you are steady. You tend to be more optimistic. You don't take things personally. But it also means that you might be insensitive. दूसरों के ऊपर जो जज्बात वो महसूस कर रहे हैं शायद आप recognize ना कर सकें अगर low emotionality है. हाई इमोशनैलिटी, अगर मैं एक्सट्रीम्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, एक्सट्रीम के सूरत में हाई इमोशनैलिटी में ऑकवर्ड, एंक्शियस एंड कॉशियस एंड वेरी, पेसिमिस्टिक, नर्वस, ऑलवेज सेल्फ क्रिटिसाइजिंग, टेंड टू हैव लैक ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस, इनसिक्योर, ओवर सेंसिटिव. ये दो एक्सट्रीम्स हैं. मोस्ट पीपल आर नॉट एट द एक्सट्रीम्स. मोस्ट पीपल आर समवेयर इन द मिडल. I want you to give yourself a score. Again, you don't have to share the score with me. I just want you to give yourself a score. इसे कागज़ पर कहीं लिख लीजिए. आपके पास 5 traits के 5 scores आ चुके होंगे अब तक जो आपकी self perception की बुनियाद पर based हैं. These 5 scores that you have, we're going to try to plot them now on a personality model. So I'm going to show you an image जिसमें इन 5 scales के ऊपर हम इन 5 traits को plot करेंगे. और उसका तरीकाकार ये होगा कि अभी जो आपने क्रिस क्रॉस एक स्केल बनाया था ना जिसमें आपने I'll show it to you on the screen again. आपने एक स्केल बनाया था जिसमें there was agreeableness, there's openness, there's conscientiousness, extraversion and emotionality. आपने अपने आप को जो भी स्कोर दिया है इन 5 स्केल्स के ऊपर उसको प्लॉट कर दिया. मिसाल के तौर पे मैंने अपनी तरफ से कुछ प्लॉट किया हुआ है कि agreeableness के अंदर I was at 80. तो मैंने 0 से 100 के दरमियान जहाँ पे तकरीबन 80 आता था वहाँ पे एक डॉट लगा दिया. इसी तरीके से कॉन्शियसनेस में आई वाज एट अबाउट 70, मैंने 70 पे लगा दिया. ओपननेस में लेट्स से आई वाज एट 40, मैंने वहाँ पे लगा दिया. एक्सट्रावर्जन में लेट्स से आई वाज एट 25 और 30, मैंने वहाँ पे लगा दिया. इमोशनैलिटी में लेट्स से आई वाज एट 60, तो मैंने वहाँ पे लगा दिया. So I have now put these dots in place. I want you all to also put your dots in place. And in this way, you're building up your own model of what you think your personality is like. Go ahead and do that. This might take you maybe 5 to 10 seconds. Very quickly, let's do that. Okay, so one person is asking, do I give myself a 50? Yes, sometimes you can do that. It doesn't happen very frequently, but sometimes that happens. Although I would prefer that you stand somewhere. You try to figure out how am I most comfortable? Which one applies to me in a way that it describes me? Try and figure that one out, and it might not end up being a 50. So now that you guys have done that, you have your skills available. Let me show you how to connect them into a personality model. So ऊपर जो 4 डॉट्स हैं उनको आप आपस में कनेक्ट कर लीजिएगा और एक क्वाड्रिलेटरल किस्म की फिगर बन जाएगी. That's how we understand personalities visually. You now have a personality model that you think is there. Now some of you might be thinking, this is not very accurate. and I would rather that my personality was analyzed properly. So if you're interested in that, then when this webinar is over, हम आपको एक link देंगे, आप उस पे जाके अपनी personality report generate कर सकते हैं. If you want to do that, I'll give you the opportunity to do that as well. But for now, this is your own perception of your personality. इसमें आपको कम से कम ये फ़ायदा हो जाएगा कि आज की resilience के बारे में जो हमारी conversation है उसमें ये helpful होगा. और दूसरा, eventually जब आप एक्चुअल अपना एनालिसिस करके पर्सनैलिटी मॉडल देखेंगे, उसको आप इससे कंपेयर कर सकते हैं. ओके, आई परसीव दिस अबाउट माई सेल्फ, बट इज दैट द रियलिटी और इजंट इट? दैट कंपेरिजन eventually will happen afterwards. But right now, I want you to talk about all of these 5 traits and how they relate to resilience. So first of all, openness के अंदर, if you tend to be low on openness, you tend to have lower resilience. Once again, if openness is low, your resilience might end up being low. If openness is high, your resilience will end up being a little bit high. What psychologists have observed is there are people who otherwise think they have low openness. Maybe they do a psychometric test and discover that they have low openness, but they have learned behaviors to become more resilient. And I will talk to you about those behaviors in just a minute. Right now, I'm just evaluating personality का क्या effect और क्या correlation है आपकी resilience के साथ. So that was the first one. Now, second one, conscientiousness. People with high conscientiousness, people who are a little bit more rule bound, they tend to have higher resilience. So high conscientiousness means higher resilience. Remember that, because the behaviors we will have to learn, some of us, those behaviors will relate to knowing what aspect of your personality you and I need to work on. Number 3, हमने बात की थी extraversion के बारे में. People with high extraversion or low extraversion, it does not seem to make any difference to your resilience. So if you're an introvert or an extrovert, the impact on your resilience it seems to be negligible based on a research paper. And if you want, I can share the study with you. So that was extraversion. Number 4 was agreeableness. How agreeable are you? Interestingly, people who are high on agreeableness, and this was a surprise for me, people who are high on agreeableness, they tend to have high resilience. मेरा ख्याल ये था कि if you are let me show you the picture again. If you're a Clint Eastwood sort of a character, then you would be more resilient. मेरा ख्याल ये था. Albatta research shows otherwise. It turns out, if you tend to care about people, if you tend to have better relationships with other people, you tend to be more resilient. You are able to manage your emotions in situations of stress better. And that is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. High agreeableness can lead to high resilience. This was number 4. And finally, हमने एक conversation की थी, हमने discussion की थी emotionality के बारे में. And this one I said has the highest effect on resilience. High emotionality is correlated with low resilience. तो अगर emotionality आपकी significantly high है, तो फिर कुछ मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी resilience achieve करने के लिए. अगर आप आम तौर पे आसानी से जज्बाती हो जाते हैं, and I tend to fall in that category by the way, तो उस सूरत में you will have to learn new behavior and I will have to learn new behavior to be able to become more resilient. These are 5 aspects of our personality that we went through. हमने सबसे पहले बात की openness के बारे में. We talked about agreeableness, we talked about conscientiousness, we talked about extraversion versus introversion, and we talked about emotionality. ये 5 aspects हैं. हमने देखा इनके अंदर हमारी मौजूदा personality के कुछ pros और cons होंगे. Now with that, let's start talking about strategies. Let's start talking about where we stand and what we could do knowing that our personality may be a certain way. So what are some things that might be helpful? इसके पीछे एक बड़ी interesting study है जो कि UC Berkeley के एक प्रोफेसर ने की थी. उन्हें NASA hired them and NASA said that we tend to send people on missions to the moon or let's say the International Space Station, or now we're talking about a mission to Mars. और उन सफ़र पे, उस लंबे सफ़र पे जब लोग जाते हैं, they tend to be far away from their families for extended periods of time. and they started studying the astronauts in the International Space Station. आपको पता होगा इनमें से कुछ astronauts ऐसे हैं जो कि तकरीबन एक पूरा साल गुजारते हैं International Space Station के अंदर. You can just imagine, this is a body in space, and between them and empty space is a very thin sheet of metal. अगर कोई meteor आके वहाँ से गुजर जाए, और छोटा सा मीटियोर भी हो, वो मतलब एक छोटा सा पत्थर हो और वो बड़ी तेज स्पीड पे स्पेस में चल रहा हो और वो आके उसे टकरा जाए तो उसमें सुराख हो जाएगा. You can just imagine the sort of risk these people are under, and they have to live there, and they have to do very difficult sort of experiments. Also, these astronauts, knowing the risk that they're in, they also have to do very boring work. And this is what the astronauts say, कि मुझे day in day out एक ही किस्म का काम करना पड़ता है. Or, if I'm doing this for a year and I don't have any direct contact with my family, it becomes very boring. Number 3, they say that they are really, really concerned. They are very, very stressed out. आप guess कर सकते हैं कि astronauts सबसे ज़्यादा किस चीज़ के बारे में stress out होते हैं? It's amazing. They're not stressed out about a meteor strike. They're not stressed out about the oxygen system in the International Space Station shutting down. They're stressed out about their families back home. Those astronauts are actually not very different from the rest of us. You can just imagine the stress piling up, and they have to be resilient, and they have an important job to do. So the scientists from Berkeley who were studying these astronauts and figuring out what makes certain astronauts more resilient than other people also started studying people in this world who have been through a lot of misery. मिसाल के तौर पे कुछ ऐसे लोग जिनकी who have lost multiple loved ones in a short period of time, who have lost loved ones and lost livelihoods, etc., and everything sort of piles on top of each other. What sort of strategies did they use that made them resilient? मैंने आपको मार्टिन सेलिगमैन के बारे में बताया था, positive psychology. What makes these people so resilient that they're able to get through all of this, whereas some other people collapse? Viktor Frankl, नाम का एक author है, he's passed away now, who survived the Holocaust. And he talked about how some people survived the Holocaust and other people did not. And what was the difference between them? And what was the psychological process that was going through their minds that allowed them to survive? Really, ये जो resilience वाली हम conversation इस वक्त कर रहे हैं, this is not just a matter of success and failure. This is not just a matter of surviving versus thriving. This is a matter of whether or not some people make it through life at all. What are some strategies? So I'm going to share with you 5 strategies. 5 strategies that will help us stay resilient through the lockdown and onwards. So 5 strategies, start taking note. Number 1, recognizing that suffering is a part of life. I'll let that sink in for a moment. Recognizing that our suffering, everyone suffers, and suffering is a part of life. And this perception that we have of shiny, happy people, that perception that comes from having a Facebook friend who is always going on great vacations, who's always eating excellent food and sharing photographs of that food, who is always talking about how blessed they are. I'm sure you guys have Facebook friends like that. Those shiny, happy people are not real. That's not reality. You may be surprised to know that many people go into depression because of what other people post on Facebook. That image of a perpetually happy person, that's not reality. Suffering is a part of life. In fact, it is that suffering that helps us appreciate the times when we're not suffering. It is this suffering, these difficult times, that help us become more thankful for the times when things are good. So number 1, recognizing that suffering is a part of life and being comfortable with that, accepting that. This is the first strategy. ऐसे लोग जो इस किस्म के टाइम्स में ना सिर्फ सर्वाइव करते हैं बल्कि थ्राइव करते हैं, और इवेंचुअली जब ये मुश्किल हालात ओवर हो जाते हैं, they come out stronger than ever. These are people who know suffering is a part of life. And it has happened before, it is happening now in some way, and it will happen again in the future in some other way, and I have to just accept it. Number 1. Number 2, They choose where they focus their attention. So the second strategy is they focus on what they can change and accept what they cannot change. तो एक तरीके से अगर आप इमेजिन कीजिए कि मैंने दो सर्कल्स बनाए, एक बहुत बाहर वाला बड़ा सर्कल है, दिस इज माई सर्कल ऑफ कंसर्न, दीज आर ऑल द थिंग्स दैट कैन अफेक्ट मी. उस बड़े सर्कल में बहुत सारी चीज़ें आती हैं, लेकिन उस बड़े सर्कल के अंदर एक छोटा सर्कल है, ये वो चीज़ें हैं जिनको मैं कंट्रोल कर सकता हूं. तो ये जो छोटा सर्कल है, सर्कल ऑफ कंट्रोल, रेजिलिएंट लोग अपना फोकस इस छोटे सर्कल के ऊपर रखते हैं. मैंने आपको एक पिंक एलिफेंट दिखाया था और मैंने आपसे कहा था कि हम चूज कर सकते हैं कि हम अपना फोकस किस चीज पे रखें. अगर पिंक एलिफेंट पर फोकस नहीं करना, हमें पता है कि फोकस नहीं करना, हमें अपने आप से कुछ सवाल पूछने पड़ेंगे कि इस चीज के ऊपर फोकस करने के अलावा मेरे पास और क्या हेल्पफुल ऑप्शंस मौजूद हैं. और अभी हमारे एक कॉलीग ने somebody just posted a comment. This comment he took from Viktor Frankl, and that's what I wanted to share with you here. When you have a clear purpose, when you're able to answer the question why should I even care? Why should I be resilient? Why should I stand up? Why should I face this adversity directly? Why should I do that? This answer to why, your answer to why, will help you become more resilient and will help you focus on the things that you have control over. That choice of thinking only primarily about things that you have control over allows you to concentrate and allows you to then take the right step every day. For example, I remember reading a case study about a person who went through a lot of hardships, and eventually they realized that all they have control over is the room that they lived in. And this person would wake up in the morning and make their bed very nicely. And they said that making the bed made me feel like I have some control over certain things. And that allowed me to sort of build it and build on that. And then after that, I would clean the rest of the room. I would wash the dishes. I would do this. I would do that. And these are things I had control over. And my mind was occupied by that. And it helped me calm down. And it helped me focus on things that I could control. And I began to discover I had control over a lot more things than I thought. And eventually this person was able to get out of that situation of adversity and became a very successful businessman. And if you want, I can share the case study with you. This was number 2. मैंने आपसे अभी तक 2 strategies share की हैं. Number 1, recognizing that adversity and suffering is a part of life. नाजुक छुई मुई बनने से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. You gotta be tough. It's gonna happen. Be ready for it. Number 2, choose where you focus your attention. Whatever you can control, you work on that and build on top of each other the things that you can control. Number 3, identify whether what you're thinking about right now is helping you or hurting you. Is it helping you or harming you? Hunt for the good. Focus on things that are going to help you. Misal ke taur pe, if you're in a situation where you could think about your life is difficult, and in one way or another things are a mess, and you say, things are so bad for me. I'm in such terrible shape, and if things continue like this, then in the future I'm going to be worse than I am today. And it is very likely that the outcome of this will be that I will be the worst person in the world. I will be, whatever your definition of bad is, I will be, in much worse condition than I am today. Thinking like this, is it helping you or harming you? What else could you be thinking at this time that could potentially help you? How could you switch that around? How could you focus your attention on something that could potentially help you? This is strategy number 3. Hunt for the good. Hunt for what will be good for you. And a lot of times, being able to count your blessings and choosing to focus your attention on what you can control jives in with identifying what is going to help you. This was number 3. मैंने 3 strategies अभी तक आपसे share की हैं. I'm going to go into number 4. Number 4 is exercise. Yeah, it sounds obvious. Many people are recommending it कि उसका आपकी हेल्थ के साथ भी उसका बड़ा गहरा ताल्लुक है. अलबत्ता एक्सरसाइज का हमारी साइकोलॉजी से बहुत ज़्यादा ताल्लुक है. एंड एक्सरसाइज इज समथिंग वी कैन कंट्रोल. सो आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट लिफ्टिंग वेट्स. हो सकता है आपके घर में फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल ना हो और आप लॉकडाउन की वजह से बाहर ना निकल सकते हो. मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ कि 5 मिनट के लिए वॉक अगर घर के अंदर ही मुमकिन हो, या मिसाल के तौर पे घर से थोड़ा सा बाहर करीब अपनी गली में छोटी सी वॉक, पाँच मिनट के लिए वॉक. And then the next day you do it for 6 minutes, and then the 7 minutes, and then 8 minutes, and 9 minutes, and 10 minutes. And eventually, if you are healthy enough, if you're fit enough, then maybe you do some proper exercise. जितनी भी exercise आपके लिए मुमकिन है, it does a few things. Number one, it gets your blood flowing and it has that sort of calming effect on you. Number two, it produces some hormones that will give you a positive sense of self. Number three, it will give you something that you can control and build on, and it will give you a sense of progress. And that progress is what resilient people look for, because it is a measure of their success. They feel like they're getting better every day, and that feeling of getting better every day allows people like Shakespeare to write plays during the plague. It allows people who built the first Bimaristan to prepare for a hospital during a plague. And it allows for the building of colleges, जैसे मैंने आपको मिसाल दी थी, during an epidemic. All of that stuff done during the epidemic by people who chose to focus on what would make things better. I've shared 4 strategies. I'm going to give you the 5th one now. The last strategy is start small. You're not expected to do everything at once, but you are expected to build on what you've already done. This building on things will give you that sense of progress, and it will help you become more resilient over a period of time. Now, in the last, whatever, 5-6 minutes that I have before we open up for questions, I have an action planning form for you. So I'm going to show you on my screen this little form, और आप इसे अपने पास नोट कर लीजिए. This action planning form is for you to figure out what you will focus on. Now, I want you to do this action planning right now. आपको left hand side पे नजर आ रहा है benefit to. So this column, for example, benefit to, it is benefit to self. This is the row for that. Benefit to family. This is the row for that. Benefit to your organization wherever you work. If you do work, this is the row for that. Community, this is the row for that. And country, this is the row for that. और उसके बाद राइट हैंड साइड के ऊपर है पहला कॉलम यूजफुल ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन. ये वो चीज़ें हैं जो कि आपको इस दौरान में आजकल के हालात में हेल्प कर सकती हैं. और यूजफुल आफ्टर द लॉकडाउन, वो चीज़ें जो आपको इस लॉकडाउन के बाद, यानी करना आप अभी शुरू करेंगे लेकिन उनका बेनिफिट आपको लॉकडाउन के बाद आना शुरू होगा. आपको या फैमिली को या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को या कम्युनिटी को या कंट्री को बाद में इफेक्ट आना शुरू होगा या इस वक्त आना शुरू होगा. और इसमें 2 किस्म की चीज़ें आएंगी. व्हाट विल यू डू and what will you learn? What are some actions you can take, and what are some new things that you can learn to make this possible? So I'm going to give you, let's say, about 30 seconds to go ahead and at least draw this action planning form for yourself on your own notebooks. Go ahead and draw this. And once you've drawn it, you can either start filling it out right now, or make sure you do it before the end of the day today. So I'll give you guys a minute to fill this out, to sort of draw this for yourself. Okay, so that was the action planning form, and as you are trying to fill that out, let me open this floor up for questions. Go ahead and ask any questions that I might not have answered yet, and we will then start taking them. In the meanwhile, मैं स्क्रीन के ऊपर मैं आपको साथ में शो कर दूंगा the link for those who are interested in having their own personality tested. I will show this to you in just a short while. Okay, so I have the link up. In the meanwhile, I'm looking out for questions. I was just looking through the comments, and one of our colleagues said, surely there's ease after hardship. Just believe that. That's right. It's from the Quran. Inna ma'al usri yusra. That's right. So I've not seen any questions thus far. I'm assuming that there are none. And if that is the case, I'm available, and I will still be online for the next few minutes. If you do come up with a question, feel free to post it, and if you don't have a question, then that's fine. Okay, thank you. Okay, how do you prevent others' negativity from affecting you and your personality? Is it something you can't? It's something you can't control, but affects you because they can influence you. Okay, so let me get to this question first. Other people's negativity. That's actually a very good question. Zoha asked this question. The reality is that human beings interact with each other and we rub off on each other. तो हम दूसरों के साथ जिस तरीके से बात करते हैं, our actions and our choices and our conversations with them, the choice of words, the body language that we choose to use with other people will eventually have an impact on them as well. That is applicable to us when we're making choices and dealing with others, but others may not necessarily always be that careful. If others are being negative with you, you have to remember that there's a difference between the sort of the language or body language that the person is using. There's a difference between that and your own choices. So resilience is recognizing that other people will have different views from you on many of these issues and still going your way. And that, of course, comes with a lot of confidence. So you have to have this confidence in yourself that I've chosen this path and I'm comfortable with this path. And other people might have a different opinion. And I'm comfortable with them having that opinion. But when I'm listening to them, I'm actually listening to an opinion that I might choose to accept or not. So I hope that answers your question. The second one is, I mentioned something about US elections being linked to this model. How? Actually, if you study the 2016 elections and the scandal associated with it, there was a company that is now defunct. It was called Cambridge Analytica. And that company was trying to figure out people's personalities based on their Facebook profiles. And they used this model to study their Facebook profiles. And once they would learn what sort of a person this is, they would intentionally then send a certain type of fake news or ad to that kind of person. And that would then change opinions over time. This is a very brief sort of an explanation of this. You can find a lot more detail online. How do you apply it in daily work life other than lockdown? Well, actually, there's many different ways where resilience helps, because every time you go to work or you work on anything, you work on any project or whether it's related to your job or not, every time you try to do that, you will discover that sometimes things will go your way and other times they will not. And when things go your way, you are thankful. And when things do not go your way, that is where resilience is needed. The same sort of resilience is needed. You still need to know that sometimes things are up, sometimes they're down, and you have to be ready for that. And being ready for that will allow you to focus on what you can control. And what you can control will then allow you to have that sort of self-conversation that, this is what I'm going to work on, and in the future, this is how I'm going to progress and build up. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, so it's tough for everyone, especially those who are seeking work and feel they're ready to contribute in a better way. Not sure how long this period will be. Anything you'd like to say about this? Okay, so there's two aspects to that. Number one, it is true that this is a tough period. It is also true that this is probably going to last for a little while. But there's something that we've observed in previous tough periods like this. So I knew many people who were looking for positions in the 2008 financial crisis, and life was pretty tough for them at that time. Two things happened. There were some people who had, the sort of a mindset that they're looking for a particular sort of position, and as they're looking for that position, that role, that job that they're looking for was not available, and they couldn't really progress until they waited. Eventually, something became available, and they were employed, and it took them a while to do that. There were some others who were a lot more flexible, and they continued, during that time while they were looking for an open position, they continued to develop themselves through, at that time, lots of e-learning courses were already available, and they signed up for many of those courses. Some of them actually changed careers through the 2008 financial crisis, and eventually became very happy in the new career that they chose. So those are two aspects to that. I don't have a particular recommendation for you because I don't know what your specific situation is, but I do have a suggestion to make sure that you are flexible in the sort of options that you're exploring, because whenever events like these take place, a lot of people, resilient people, come out stronger. But coming out stronger does not necessarily mean they're stronger exactly in the way they were before. Many of them become stronger because they've changed as a result of that experience. So consider that. Benchmark of productivity during these days, apart from work that Shakespeare did, is it okay to not be that productive due to the stress these days? So it's true that stress is reducing our effectiveness. I'm having sessions with a few companies on this where we're trying to figure out with their staff how to address some of these issues. I'm going to give you some basic rules of thumb. As you are working during this time frame, please remember, number one, you absolutely have to have a fixed work day. The big problem that we're facing these days is because people are working from home, they're always working, which means, somebody's awake at Fajr and then they'll start sending messages at that time, and somebody's awake at 12 o'clock at night and they're sending messages at that time. Ki fulan cheez honi thi, fulan cheez ho gayi. It's a good idea to have some standard working hours. And I understand there will be some messages that will go back and forth after that, but people should not be expected to respond. So if let's say your work hours are 9 to 6, then 9 to 6 you're working and you're concentrating, and if you stick to that schedule, that will help you manage your stress and productivity a little bit better. Number two, while you're working during this time period, try to focus on ensuring good quality of work. And that will actually help you reduce your stress level. So between 9 and 6, let's say you do that, and other times you can then watch the news media and social media and whatever else you do. Okay. By the way, Shafiq, very quickly, I don't think it's okay to be not as productive. I actually expect higher productivity during this time. This is the time to be more productive than ever, because this is the time where all of those other times when you thought you couldn't catch up, when everybody else was moving faster, this is the time to catch up. This is the time for you to demonstrate your worth for your organization. This is the time for you to demonstrate your worth for your community as well. The concept of grit that may go along with resilience do they go together? Yes, that's right. So grit means staying up and being consistent. And resilience is a slightly different term, which means being gritty, but being psychologically comfortable with being gritty. So yes, it's quite a bit of an overlap between the two. And if you want to read a book on grit, it's Angela Duckworth's book. I think it's called Grit itself, just Grit, I think. So I want to teach this concept to my staff that operate with a very limited mindset. How can I do that? So resilience, if you want to teach resilience to your staff, one option is this video will be available afterwards, and they may be able to participate. They may be able to watch the videos. This is one option. The second option is perhaps reading the book that I just mentioned, Angela Duckworth's book, if they're that kind of people, if they're into reading books. The third option would be to sit around with them and have a conversation. about what the situation requires from us and how we can contribute best, and talk about resilience and some of the concepts that we've discussed. Hopefully that will be helpful. As we are humans, our moods swing, which brings negative thoughts. How can we be resilient through this? I actually don't disagree at all. There will be times when things will be tough, and you might get those negative thoughts, and it is those negative thoughts that you have to learn to recognize. मैंने आपको एक strategies बताई थी, number 2 थी ग़ालिबन, कि you have to identify whether thinking that way is helping you or hindering you, and you have to then choose to think about things that are going to help you rather than things that will hinder you. I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm actually not even saying that these times are easy. All I'm saying is this is how these times are. And we have to suck it up and be tough, because being tough is what is required in this situation. The huge benefit is these times will not stay the same way. They will be over sooner or just slightly later. But when these times are over, if you've been tough through these times, you will have a lot more value to yourself. You will have a much stronger character. You will have more abilities. You will be valuable not just for yourself, for your community, but also for the organization that you will work for at that time. Thank you for sharing the name of the book. And yes, one of our colleagues has also shared a TED Talk that Angela Duckworth has done. So with that, I see no other questions, and feel free to get in touch with us. We are www.getpsyched.com. मैंने आपको demo.getsite का link ग़ालिबन दिखाया था. If you want to learn more about your personality, we will make this link available for this weekend only. अब वहाँ जाएंगे तो आप अपनी रिपोर्ट खुद डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. आमतौर पे we only make it possible for companies to do that, but for this weekend we will make it available. And if you have any questions other than that, then drop me a line on LinkedIn, or you can send us an email. My email address is kamran@getpsyched.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And once again, I'm really thankful that you took time out to be with us today. I wish you guys all the best.